Alright, everyone. So, we're really close to the election now. Just a couple weeks away. I'm getting a little nervous, a little anxious, I won't lie. And while I do think Kamala's chances of winning are actually pretty good, I am still worried. In areas in which I think she could, in key states, potentially lose, reasons why she may lose, are big concerns for me that I feel I need to draw attention to. Since we've got time to acknowledge the problem, maybe there is time to do something about it. Now, unfortunately, America's elections, especially the general election for presidency, is very much a two-party system. This could change one day, and there are a lot of people who would make a lot of interesting arguments for how that could be done. I actually interviewed one of the founders of the Green Party on my stream a few years ago, and I questioned him. Maybe you might consider a little harshly. I went a little hard, but I think it was actually, there was merit to it, considering why. Why should someone vote for the Green Party, for example, over the Democrats? If you're a Green Party voter, then chances are you're a pretty progressive person. You have concerns that involve the climate and social justice and all that good stuff. You probably feel like the Democrats just don't represent those ideals well enough. And if you're willing to not support the Democrats in such a pivotal election against such a blatantly anti-democracy, bordering on dictatorial maniac, then something is wrong. Like, that's not a valid or well-constructed line of logic, but people are still opting down that path. And some might argue that refusing to participate in the two-party system is a way of protesting it and changing that, but unfortunately, that won't matter if Trump wins and ensures we never have another election. So the fact that a significant amount of would-be blue voters are potentially going to go green this election is a pretty big problem. The Green Party never wins the election. There's never been a Green Party win. At least for the presidency. They know they're not going to pull even the high enough percentage that they can achieve their goals of making the Green Party more legitimate in future elections. The only thing they're achieving here, notably Jill Stein, is achieving during this election is taking support from Kamala Harris. Now, you might think I'm being a little bit harsh here. Nope, it's a principled vote. Well, you can say that, Vortigern, but a principled vote is all well and good, but what's that matter if you don't get to have any vote in 4 years? What's that matter if we don't get to have any country in 4 years? Are you still under the have you memory hold Trump's presidency? There's still, even in my own chat, guys, Russia and the Republican Party have done a great job of brainwashing people like Vortigern into being accepting and tolerant to people who are willing to knowingly or not help Trump destroy our country and our democracy. Anyway, Jill Stein's chances of blocking Kamala Harris win in key swing states. While Green Party candidate Jill Stein is unlikely to win the presidency, her support in key blue wall battleground states could be decisive, with razor-thin margins between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump, according to polls. Stein, who is on the ballot in key swing states, including Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, has drawn criticisms from Democrats in recent weeks as the race tightens, amid claims she is giving Trump, the GOP nominee, an edge. On Friday, the Democratic National Committee, the DNC, released a new ad titled Crucial, targeting voters in these 3 states and accusing Stein of siphoning supporters from Harris, the Democratic nominee. The ad shows Stein's face morphing into Trump's with the message, "A vote for Stein is really a vote for Trump." Now, you can whine and cry about that if you want to, but it's completely true. It's completely true. This is a razor-thin election as far as we have any real reason to believe, besides gut feeling, that maybe Kamala Harris ends up pulling more support than expected. We really need to lock in. We need every single last vote that we can get. it's not a matter of, oh, we don't want Donald Trump to win. It's a matter of, A, existential threat of climate change. That has to be dealt with. Biden and Kamala Harris have been the most aggressive against climate change presidents we've ever had. People have tried to argue with me on this, and they're just proving they literally don't keep up with the news or the policies passed by our sitting administrations. So they're dumb, and I don't care about their opinions. All good. Anyway, it's not like you can just look at climate change alone, and it's like, okay, it's the end of the world. Like the end of the world if Trump gets elected. That issue alone, we can't let him win. Like, for all of humanity, you need to selflessly choose to vote against Trump in a way that helps to keep Trump out of office. And a vote for Jill Stein and the Green Party is not going to do that. Mind you, I don't care if you're the biggest Green Party shill and you know, defender out there. Like, the arguments I've heard in chat for it aren't even the same arguments the co-founder of the Green Party made to me. In fact, the co-founder of the Green Party, who is not Jill Stein, by the way, I believe it was, I think his name was, like, Howie Hawkins, I think his name was? It's been years, I'm sorry, guys, I don't really follow the Green Party. Howie Hawkins, I think his name was. I interviewed him, and his argument was that during midterm elections, and in states that are already settled to go to the Democrats, if there is enough votes, then they can potentially gain legitimacy for the party by getting a high enough percentage of votes. And they can do this, hopefully, without stealing votes from the Democrats, right? And that they don't want to steal votes from the Dems in swing states. That's what he said to me. And it's weird to me that people will defend the behavior of voting for the Green Party in swing states when not even Howie Hawkins was arguing that you should do that to me. Like he didn't even argue that to me. He was just like, yeah, no, we just, if you're in a settled blue state and you just want to show support for the Green Party to show there's legitimacy there and that what we stand for is desired, then you can. I'm like, well, I don't fully agree with that. I can respect it, right? I can respect it to a degree. Anyway. The ad also features a video segment of Trump speaking at a June campaign rally in Philadelphia, saying, "Jill Stein, I like her very much. You know why? She takes 100% from them, the Democrats." So Donald Trump has outright, stated what we all know. He's just said it out loud. That, like, when Donald Trump himself says he loves Jill Stein because she's taking votes from the Democrats, I mean, what else do you need? You don't take my word for it. While Democrats say that voters supporting Stein would potentially lean Democratic, it's unclear whether all of these voters would have otherwise backed Harris or opted not to vote at all. Stein's campaign spokesperson previously told Newsweek in an email the notion that Democrats and Republicans own everyone's votes and that Greens supposedly take votes from the political establishment is... This is literally just like not being a team player with the country. I'm sorry. But like Donald Trump is being pushed by foreign adversarial nations trying to get him in power to harm our country and harm its people. Trump is literally promising to defund every public school in the entire country that mandates any vaccines whatsoever for students. You realize there's going to be rashes of massive pandemics and outbreaks if Trump takes office and imposes this policy like he promises to do and will be able to do, by the way. Might be millions of dead children by the end of his at least 4 years. You think he'll leave office willingly? Sure. You think we're ever having another election if he wins? Sure. Harris's clearest path to victory next month would be to win the 3 blue wall battleground states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Barring any shock results elsewhere, Trump's most efficient path to 270 electoral college votes would be to win the swing states of North Carolina, Georgia, and flipping Pennsylvania. Trump narrowly won Pennsylvania in 2016 against former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, but President Joe Biden flipped it back in 2020. Newsweek has reached out to Stein's and Harris's campaign for comment via email on Sunday. So yeah, this situation is definitely concerning. It is most definitely concerning. But here's the thing. While it is worth being worried about this and encouraging friends and family to absolutely not vote green and to vote blue instead. Vote blue no matter who, as we say. I actually do want to let you guys know that there is some good news. Mail-in ballots are apparently getting counted. And so far, this isn't fully updated by, like, the hour necessarily, but this is accurate as of today, from my understanding. I had this sent to me earlier, but apparently, 4.7, almost 4.8 million mail-in and early in-person votes have been cast nationally, and damn. Is anyone here colorblind and in need of me to break down who's winning here? And by a lot? Now, here's the thing. What's really going to matter is the states, okay? Those important states are what decides it. It's not who gets the most votes. It's who wins the key winning states to win the Electoral College. So we're going to have to see what happens here, but man, if this is legit, then we're off to a good start. Now, granted, you got to remember as well, mail-in ballots are always going to have an early voting in general is always going to have a bias in favor of the Democrats because the Republicans think that shit is rigged and refuse to participate in it. But looks good, doesn't it? Still looks good. Still nice to look at, right? Hell yeah, Chipson 1709. We got a Dem Pennsylvania voter here. Let's go! We love Pennsylvania Dem voters. We love Pennsylvania Dem voters. Let's go. Regardless of the outcome, Trump will try to steal the election. Like, if Harris wins, he'll try to steal the election. So you got to remember, the bigger of a win Harris has, the harder it is for Trump to challenge that in court and try and overturn the results, a la, like, the Al Gore thing. Like, forcing a recount that turns up a barely different result. Or blocking a recount. Oh, that'd be insane. That would be the real Al Gore situation. If a recount that would be totally fucking valid gets blocked. Oh, jeez. That would be a nightmare. Yo, War Penguin, thank you for the tier 1 gift sub to Chipson1709. I really appreciate that. Very kind of you. Thank you. Said, vote blue, name him as blue. Based. Yeah, if you announce that you're in a swing state and you're going to vote Democrat, there is a decent chance that someone in chat is going to gift you a sub. So, I guess that's a thing. That's pretty dope. Yo, and War Penguin, I gotta read these subs in a bit because I don't want to get too caught up while we're in the middle of the segment. I appreciate your support, guys. But like I said before, listen, I don't think Jill Stein's like a Russian op. I've seen a lot of like hate for Jill Stein. I don't think she's like a Russian operative. I don't think she's like an agent trying to destroy the democracy or whatever. But regardless of intentions, even if they are well-meaning politicians trying to give more options to the American people, we're in a situation now where the Republicans, they never really have been, but more so now than ever, they are not just the alternative to a happy and flourishing America. The Democrats are not only the party of, like, preserving rights and, like, justice for marginalized groups and like, the working class and whatnot more than any other party. The Republicans are now also the party of destroying the country and all of those rights, and the Democrats are the party of just making sure the country runs as intended. The Republicans regularly throw shit fits and shut down the government because they don't want to agree on a budget bill. Like, it's just, they will literally shut down all of federal, like, institutions for days, weeks, in like a week plus at a time. We've had more and the longest government shutdowns since the Trump era started than in all of American history, as far as I'm aware. This is a modern day Republican thing. They're willing to destroy our country if it means any individual one of them gets to claim a win to the public, because they're basically acting like celebrities, on TMZ now. That's how politicians act now on the Republican side. They don't run the country competently. Like, on an objective level, they don't run the country competently, completely separate from any ideological bias. They just don't competently run the country. And then on top of that, they are dedicated to appeasing their voter base by appealing to their racism and bigotry towards marginalized groups, which means if they win, they're going to try to secure that support because they're crowd pleasers, and that's all they care about doing is pleasing the crowd, by further pushing to destroy rights, much like Donald Trump's proudly Republican-leaning Supreme Court nuking Roe v. Wade. There is much worse and more like the nuking of Roe v. Wade by the Supreme Court ahead of us if Donald Trump wins. Even if he doesn't win, it's not going to be perfect. But if you think it's going to be bad because of all the things the Supreme Court has done, then imagine if Trump gets to secure at least 4 more years in the White House, because I personally don't believe he would give up his position as president in a million years. I think his plan is to win and for the Trump dynasty to own America for ever after that.
In terms of the impact on the genocide being conducted in Palestine right now by Israel and the United States.
Yeah, and also like the going at it with the whole, like, the only point on which I feel like progressive voters might be swayed to not vote for the Democrats and to put their vote somewhere else is like a protest vote, or as one person in chat said earlier, a vote of what was the word for it? It's super LARP. It's super like self-righteous. Oh yeah, a principled vote. There we go. Nice and self-righteous.
You know, who knows what Donald Trump will do? It's certainly not preferable by all indicators to what the Harris-Biden or the Biden-Harris administration is doing right now. So we have one candidate who's actually committing the genocide right now. And in spite of her promises and her slightly milder rhetoric, is actually continuing the same full transfer of weapons, who refuses to consider even a weapons embargo to put a halt to the genocide.
We literally can't. Like, I'm pretty sure we've got an agreement with Israel that would force us into an even worse deal. Same goes for Ukraine. We have an agreement with Ukraine. I don't think it's with you. It might not be Ukraine. It might be like it might be the European Union or NATO. It might be NATO we have an agreement with, and NATO has extended that agreement to Ukraine. But if we refuse to provide the much lesser support we're already providing to Ukraine, if we revoke that, I think we break an agreement that like locks us into some kind of contract that requires us to give way more support to Ukraine. Like, Donald Trump has no idea what he's talking about. America is in agreements and treaties that like effectively cannot be broken, that's out of the president's control, that like he can get us into that situation. I don't think he can get us out. There are certain things Donald Trump is running on that if he does it, he's going to be able to do the thing he said he's doing, but the results are going to be like even more and possibly a worse version of the thing that he is supposedly trying to fix. Yeah, and to be very clear, by the way, Donald Trump and Jared Kushner have said that Gaza is prime real estate. Jared Kushner specifically has said that it's amazing beachfront property that once all the buildings have been annihilated and the people moved away from it, great real estate investment there in Gaza. So you've got Kamala Harris, who is effectively, or I should say Biden. Kamala Harris is the vice president. Her job is to meet with these world leaders, not to tell them what to do. But Kamala Harris and Biden, while they are, backing Israel as much as any president has to, particularly because you got to remember Israel does have a civilian population that it has to defend. It requires trillions or whatever, not really, but a lot of money to defend that population because they're constantly getting like bombs thrown at them. And that's not a meme. That's not a lie, by the way. That's not like Zionist propaganda. Like, it's not. Like, when attacks are made against Israel, it's on their civilian populace. They do got to defend those random civilians that are just trying to vibe, right? They didn't choose to be Israeli for the most part. Some did, but that doesn't mean they should die. So there is valid reason for the U.S. to defend, like, give aid to its ally that is actually under attack. The problem is Israel's way of defending itself is more like, what's a good example? Let's say somebody pointed a gun at you, fired, and then missed. That would be the kind of situation that generally happens when any party attacks Israel. Israel is like if the guy who got shot at responded by murdering the dude, or I guess not murdering, but killing the guy who shot at him, but then proceeding to murder the dude's entire family. That's basically what Israel does if I were to give like a sort of more on the ground understandable comparison to the situation. Israel gets a little crazy with it, you know. You could argue they commit war crimes with it, you know. Yeah, head for an eye kind of shit. And so massively disproportionate, very unprecise, massive amounts of civilian casualties. In fact, it's so bad that I've got a whole different segment later on today that's literally just all about that. 40 countries in the Lebanon UN peacekeeping force condemning Israel's actions. So it's going to be Israel is not generally very well appreciated for its military action lately. Yeah, Benjamin Netanyahu and Trump are also personal friends. So this like desperation by the Green Party, who absolutely is trying to siphon votes from the Dems. Like that is the demographic they're trying to get votes from. That is the demographic that would vote for them if convinced. Republicans are never going to vote Green Party, but they're trying to use this one issue, which is I'm really starting to wonder. I don't think she is like a Russian agent, but I really wonder if like the origin of like fuck the Dems for not like letting Israel die narrative that's so popular on the left, I really wonder if that does originate from Russia. Because a lot of the same people are also Russian sympathizers when it comes to the war in Ukraine. Really makes me wonder how much of this shit that's like a brain rot on the left actually originates from Russian psyops. Because we know the Russians have influenced the right in America and online a lot, and they dedicated a lot of money to it, hundreds of millions of dollars, in fact, Putin himself. But what about on the left? I feel like it's had to have happened to a degree. Not that like there are left-wing figures being paid by Russia, but more so that like Russian bot farms have been used to create self-harming for the left popular narratives to pass around, you know? Like, I wonder if some Russian bot farms started the original, like, anger at Hogwarts Legacy, for example. Even with J.K. Rowling involved, it felt so insane that it felt like there had to have been something pushing it along, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm being conspiratorial here.
And then we have another candidate who's threatening to continue the job. So, if the American people want other options, they're certainly entitled to them.
They're not other options, though. This is the thing. They're not other options. Like, they're an option in the same way that when you get mugged in an alleyway, your options are to give them your money, fight and probably get killed or beaten to death or shot, or fly away. The Green Party is like the fly away option. Technically, it's an option. It's the most ideal option, but it's not. It's literally not possible. A human being cannot literally put their arms in the air and fly away from a dangerous situation like Superman. But yeah, it'd be nice if people had that option. It's technically a thing you could consider, but you're not going to end up doing it. You can try, in the sense you could vote for the Green Party, but they won't win. By a long shot, they won't win. In fact, you're probably going to end up with exactly what would happen if you tried to fight them happening. Link, watch it. It's been pretty prophetic. No, we're good, redo. We're in the middle of a segment right now. But like I said, I do find it interesting that the Israel thing has been continuously used by people to try and like build resentment around voting for Kamala Harris. And mind you, a lot of the people who have done this have a vested interest in either A, people diverting votes from Kamala Harris to vote for their party, the Green Party, with like Jill Stein and her situation, or their political left-wing commentators that you can look at every single stat that exists, all unanimously made more money when Donald Trump was elected because Donald Trump's presidency makes everybody super locked in on politics for like 4 years straight. So it makes you wonder, well, okay, how much are these content creators that are saying Kamala Harris and Trump aren't that different because Israel, how many of them are completely not allowing the fact that they would make more money if Kamala Harris lost the election on their channels? How many of them are absolutely not letting that impact what they're saying and advocating for? Just thinking about that, you know, just it's just a thought, you know, it's just something that I think about. Just a little something. Anyway, if you enjoyed this segment and found it entertaining, educational, or in any way enjoyable to watch at all, then please consider leaving a like. Every single thumbs up is totally free on my videos, my VODs, my segments, no matter what. It really does help the channel a lot when you drop those likes. It forces YouTube to push my content and the algorithm out to more new viewers, and it grows the channel a lot, so I really do appreciate it. On top of that, you can comment down below to compound the benefit of dropping a like, which really helps a ton and means a lot to me. And on top of that, if you haven't already, you can also follow my social medias, linked down below in the description. Subscribe, ring the bell icon, and turn on all notifications so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload a new video. And don't forget to join my fan Discord, linked down below in the description. It is totally free to join. It is the main hub of my fan base and community online. And I host game events, call-in streams, and watch parties there, as well as announcing all my new uploads and streams there, too. So if you want to be a part of that, make sure to join. And finally, if you want to support me directly and you feel so generous to do so and you can afford it, please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy merch to the Streamlabs link down below. Though regardless, as much as it does help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, regardless of how you, watch my content, even if you're just a lurker, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope to see you again, and have a good one.